Hey, good afternoon, racing fans. Welcome to Hawthorne Racecourse for a Thursday afternoon of Thoroughbred action. Jim Miller and Emily Gullikson up here in our mezzanine level studio. Emily, it's beautiful today.
It's gorgeous.
It wasn't quite as beautiful on Sunday and Tuesday.
Wait, what are you talking about? Because I was on TV?
No, the
rain,
the
oh,
weather.
right, the
It was
rain, got
sloppy. It was
True.
gross outside. We had almost an inch of rain Sunday. We had 2 inches of rain
Crazy.
on Tuesday. So we're off the turf today. The good thing, I guess, when there's hurricanes down south, it benefits us for wind to dry out the turf for tomorrow. They're talking 35, 40 mile per hour winds tomorrow. So that's a very good sign because it's a very good card on Sunday with an excellent stake with the Carey Memorial.
We talk about Sunday because
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this about me, but like I love horse racing, and
Yeah.
I play all the tracks in all the country, handicap a lot of races. This card on Sunday is like the best card. And I don't just mean of our meet or of the weekend. I honestly think the year. This game is so amazing. Sometimes you handicap a card. I remember Jason Beam on one of the podcasts I did. He's like, do you ever get like bored because it's like a lot of repetition? And you're like, yeah, sometimes. And then there's a card like Sunday when I started digging into it that I was like, oh man, I love this. Every single race, like right from the jump, every single race, it was just awesome. I had so much fun handicapping it.
Yep.
I'm so excited, looking forward to Sunday. Every race is good. We go a graded stakes race, right into a $4,000 non-winners of 3 on the year, injected into my veins. I love it. I'm so excited for it, if you can't tell.
It's a good mix of everything. 4 races on the grass, 5 races on the main track. It looks like right now we're going to be okay weather-wise. Regardless, the stake is going to remain on the turf.
It's
Carey
killer.
Memorial will remain on the turf. I looked up and down that field, and of the 12 in that field, 10 of them are either stakes winners or stakes placed horses. That's how good this race is. And you got horses coming from the East Coast, horses coming from the South, horses coming from the West Coast. Great horses here. The mare, Katie, my lady, is in there. Good Illinois bred horses, too. Overall, from top to bottom, there's just a solid race. I'm so happy it's back on the stakes calendar. And then next week, we get an equally as good race with the Hawthorne Derby. So that's the thing that I'm very excited about. But 2 really good turf stakes as we close out the meet.
You guys did an excellent job putting that card together. That stakes race is awesome. I post the plot. We'll obviously have it up on the Hawthorne website. You can look at all the optics data, but just getting that in there, and like you mentioned, you have the horses coming from all over and jockeys from all over.
Yep.
A lot of faces that we see around the country will be here, and I'm looking forward to it. I think it's gonna be really great. But probably before we do that, we have to do this.
Yeah, I guess we should focus on this card too, because really, I mean, we lost some horses out of the turf races, which happens. But you know what? The dirt races, I think there are only 2 scratches on the dirt races all day long. We do have a fast track. It will be fast all day long, as you mentioned. Beautiful day today. Temperatures in the 70s, just a slight breeze. Open things up. We go 1 mile and 70 yards in the opener. It's a field of 7 to line up in the first. Emily, come on. 3 to 5? Come on.
It's
Why?
pretty short. It's pretty short, but they're going to wheel right back. In the race last week, they drew the rail and not really handling the track, just kind of climbing over it early. And I like the fact they're going to come right back, draw an outside in here. Has a little bit more tactical speed than they were able to show. I think makes a lot of sense. Whether you want to take 3 to 5, that's up to you in terms of what you think as far as value. But I do think it's a favorable spot with all the changes coming back in here. And the races they were running back in California for the lower claiming tag makes sense with the drop.
How much did our friend Steve Simonovich bet early on this horse?
Really?
I mean, you're looking at 3 to 5 here. I don't have the horse anywhere.
Wow, okay.
I didn't like that last start. I mean, you're wheeling back quickly off that last start, but didn't show me anything at all. And you know what? Maybe they come back and win and make me look like a fool in this spot. But at 3 to 5,
I mean, as a player, anytime you have knocks on a horse at 3 to 5, however so slight, because these are the horses you're supposed to poke holes in. So if those holes are more obvious, then this is a great start. It starts off the pick 5, starts off the place pick 8. You get a horse like Vansky to run out, and it's already a big lead going into that last part of the sequence.
For me, it's Slava Ukraini, the 5 in here. This horse has to be on the lead. The best races are on the lead. I don't know why they haven't been on the lead in those last couple. Maybe it was just class. Maybe they were just in a little bit too tough in those races. They're back at the level where the horse is competitive. You run your best races on the front, just send and go. The horse gets brave on the lead. That's where they should be. So I'm hopeful that is the spot where Slava Ukraini is going into the first turn in today's opener. Race 2 today, allowance runners go 1 mile and 70 yards in the second. It's a field of 7 to line up in here. Looking up and down this field, you can go a few different ways. I ended up on Atkins in this spot. I thought it was a good race in that last out. You pick up Alexis Centeno today. 2 turns on the dirt just kind of seems to be the spot. That's where the horse has been 3 of the last 4 and run well in those 3 starts.
And I saw it the same way as far as Atkins has that good race and allowance company. I think we've talked about this before, that sometimes the allowance races, it's horses that are running in allowance company, and so Atkins kind of checks those boxes, fits that bill. Should be able to get the right trip. The 2 horse on the outside with number 6 Find a Way, coming out of those sprint races, likely to show speed, and then number 7 Chaos Reigns has that route speed, so should be able to work out a trip in here. I'm curious how number 3 Vicious Vanda runs, one that was extra wide, finished in a blanket finish, and part of that because another horse from that race and from the Joel Burnt barn is actually running on Sunday, came out of that same race. So worth a follow, and then our friend Danville probably can get in for a share, but pretty much saw it the same way. Atkins, and then Gluckstadt can probably get in the mix as well, but picked Atkins on top.
Yeah, Gluckstadt I put in the mix. You mentioned the Joel Burnt runner. Joel Burnt's going to have a lot of runners over the last few weeks here, coming back from Canterbury with a whole lot of fit horses. Tim Padilla with some horses coming back. Jan Arnett's going to be returning with some horses, so you're going to see a lot of full fields, a lot of very competitive races as we close out this summer meet. All right, race 3 off the turf, 1 mile 70 yards on the fast main track. Maidens in the spot. Take out the 2, 3, and a 5 in here. Najameen's Business on the outside is the Simonovich runner who's been working very well. I expect that one to take some action. I ended up on Stable Currency though. I thought Stable Currency ran well in debut. Chris Block's had some runners that in races that have come off the turf that have stayed in and run very well on the main track, and I tend to wonder if this could be another one of those horses.
Stable Currency was awesome on debut, probably just with the added ground. Wins that day, will have the added ground in here. Broke slow, made that wide move against the flow, continued to close, big massive gallop out. I mean, everything you want to see for a horse on debut, and then stretches out for that second start. When I talked to Steve on the Sunday at Hawthorne show, he mentioned this first time starter, Najameen's Business, and they're very excited about her, so she seems very live first out. The other one that I gave a mention to on either surface is number 8 Classy Cowtown Lady, easy for me to say. The debut back at Prairie Meadows, very green, made a move, didn't really change leads, but the type of visuals that when a horse is extremely green, you're like, I think this horse has more ability, and so I like the fact that they've been given a little bit more time, some added work, and I don't think we've seen the best of her yet. I think it can be very live in here.
Yeah, it could be a competitive race. Even Show Me the Light, the 6. This was a horse that came flying late on the inside and the only start here at Hawthorne. The horse will be completely dismissed in the spot today, but I think on the main track actually probably moves up a little in here. All right, race 4, 5.5 furlongs, $25,000 maiden claimers for 2-year-olds on the main track. It's a field of 9 in this spot. So many ways to go. I think Good to Be Prince is going to be tough. I just didn't like the rail draw. I actually went the Man of Quality because I think this horse gets the right pace set up in here. But really, there's probably 6 or 7 horses that could have a chance to win the 4th.
I agree. I think this race is insanely competitive. You have the 2 runners from Ravelli in here. Good to Be Prince, you mentioned at the rail. Number 5, Best Dressed Man, is going to make a belated second start. And then Catalano has the filly Lila Renee. And then also has number 3, Holden Michael, Illinois bred runner. And they're just going to get attention just from the connections alone. And I kind of took a same approach. I wanted to go opposite, and I took 3 horses that you didn't. In number 2, Leo's Wish, one that's improved race to race. I think needs this drop in class. That's the right move. This race comes up salty. And the same thing for number 9, Sneaky Feet. Moving to the outside is a positive, getting a little bit more ground, also a positive. And number 8, Mark My Memory, that one took a ton of money. Took a ton of money in the face of Baby Boat, right? The DeVito runner who ended up running off the screen. They come right back. So I think those 3 is how I'm going to kind of lean around. I think they'll be square prices, but I mean, no one in there would really surprise at all.
Mark My Memory was very well intended on the debut too, and did show speed. This one held the lead at the top of the lane. Baby Boat, like you mentioned, was just really good. Maybe they need a start. Maybe they built off that race. Man of Quality, I think, because like you mentioned, there's 2 Ravellis, there's 2 Catalanos, there's a Joel Burnt. This is a horse that maybe gets overlooked a little bit, and shouldn't because of the races, because the horse has been progressing in the races, but maybe just because of the connections. But Alex Mendezou back off of injury. He grabbed a victory down at Fairmount Park earlier in the week, so good to see him back in the saddle. Don Martin's got some good 2-year-olds, and this is a horse that I think maybe is in with a chance to I would say it's only a slight upset, but I still think you might be able to get somewhere around 9-2.
That was a winning race last out.
Yep.
Transfers that here might be a slight rise, but like you mentioned, there should be plenty of price compensation.
Yeah, definitely worth a look there in the 4th. All right, race 5 off the turf, 5.5 furlongs on the main track. Take out the 2 Chrome Attack, 3 Haha Gloria, and the 8 Rambert. Leaves you with a field of 5. There's 2 in here from the barn of Armando Hernandez. That could be very tough. I think Madeline Bell is probably even better on the main track. But I also think Moment to Shine could be right there. Frosted to Clear. Icy River has been good on the dirt. And then you tend to wonder what She's Wonderful is going to show us. But to me, Madeline Bell on the dirt, I think, is probably the best horse in this race. But then again, what's the pace going to be? That's the question.
The trick, right? Because it did change dramatically. And I think, if anything, maybe it assists Madeline Bell even more so than the race last out. Because I think the race shape played against her. She was on the inside. She moves outside today. Icy River has early speed. Moment to Shine could show speed as well. I think Madeline Bell just has options, being kind of between those runners, has some tactical speed and finishing ability. Frosty Claire, I mean, she's a tricky one because she could show early speed, but then she could also break slow again, and then she's on the inside. So things kind of change a little bit. I'm kind of going with my original opinion with some of the scratches in here. She's Wonderful. I probably would downgrade from those initial just kind of based on the race shape. Is our rider change in there?
Cohen's riding.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm seeing some scribbling over there. Because the race was a better than looked effort last out, but I thought the race shape would have set up for her with the other horse in the field, and obviously being on the turf. Madeline Bell, probably the horse to beat.
Yeah, I think she's the horse to beat too. We welcomed E.T. Baird back into the Jocks room on Sunday. He rides Moment to Shine in here. I tend to wonder if they're going to try to send and maybe clear the lead. This is a horse that I also think is probably even better on the main track than the turf. We'll see what the prices are. We'll see who gets all the action in that spot, but it's still a competitive race there for the 5th. 6th race, 12-5 claimers and non-winners of 2 races in this spot. It's a field of 8 to line up in the 6th. I found this to be a fairly competitive race. Quiro de Niro is the one I landed on just because I thought the pace was to the outside. I thought there was a decent amount of pace. I saw Mark Crystal this morning. He's got Crystal Snow in here. I think that horse improves. And then Resolution I thought could be a factor to price.
I used number 2 Resolution here. I think it's going to get a similar trip to Quiro de Niro, a little bit buried coming out of that same common race back on September 5th. And had trouble at the start and then kind of rushed up, had that free trip, took kickback. I thought it was a sneaky effort in there, and because she had to rush up, that pace was extremely fast, which upgrades number 5 Peggy's Way because she was part of the early pace and stayed on as the best of the speed. And then the winner of that race ended up just kind of getting that perfect race flow. Holy Image just got that first run, was in the clear, had everything her own way. So Resolution and Peggy's Way are flow upgrades. Quiro de Niro, very honest, could find a similar setup. So she's in the mix, but trying to get a little bit creative with Resolution.
Yeah, it's worth trying to beat the favorite in that spot. And I think Peggy's Way will be the favorite, and that's a horse that oftentimes has run close, but just disappointed for the victory, and we'll see what happens with that one today. Race 7 off the turf, miles 70 yards on the main track. Scratch to 1, 2, 3, 6, and 8. The one thing I'm going to be curious about in here is to see if there's a bridge jumper in the show pool more than anything. To see if somebody comes in with a big show wager. Would probably come on the 9 Sharp Stick in this spot. I don't think the horse is a gimme to win, but I still think this is an interesting race with these 4 on the main track. I actually went with Professor Higgins on the dirt.
Yeah, as soon as you said bridge jumper, I'm looking at the Ford. I'm going, on who? Because you can make cases for any of them, but I don't know which one I would want to be, fully invested in. I guess somebody's got to run out, but extremely, extremely tough. Tanner Tracy leaves both runners in. I think the race is for number 5, Sir Pistolero, where he's finishing in the blanket finish out in California. Those races stack up on par. Would fit in here. King of the Palace, I guess the only question is going 2 turns, but maybe they just try to get out in front and take them as far as they can. Both those horses in here, I think, it could just come down to a rider's race, but leave both those runners in there. I thought they had a look before. So I'm going to kind of lean on Tanner Tracy.
And the key with the 2 Tanner Tracy runners in here is, well, he had a lot of horses at Prairie Meadows during the summer. These horses have a long pattern of drills here at Hawthorne. So they're familiar with the track. They're familiar with the Hawthorne dirt. It's not like they're just shipping in, stepping foot on the track and saying best of luck.
Right.
They know this racetrack. So would not surprise me by any means there. I'll be curious to see what the wagering is as well in race number 7. In the 8th, couple of scratches here. Scratch to 5, Jocelyn, who's re-entered for Sunday. Scratch to 6, Dixie Lovin. Leaves you with a field of 7. I thought last out was the time for Princess Tanko. I think this is the time. 2 turns on the main track. I think everything lines up. This has to be the day for this horse, don't you think?
I do. And I don't think, sometimes there's those times where it just doesn't work out, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're quote-unquote wrong. The horse was very well spotted, just didn't work out. It was running from off the pace, which
Right.
was my one concern,
Yep.
right? Anytime you have a closer, you're still going to need a lot of things your own way. Now, there should be plenty of pace in here with number 2, Patty Gal, who's got early speed on the inside. Summer at the Spa, that's where she does her better running, getting out there. And then on the outside, Morning Line News
Right.
has early speed as well. So Princess Tanko should be able to target and sit, not even be as far back,
Right.
just given that change in class. So she moves up naturally. I saw it very similar to you. Number 3, No Nanette No, maybe
Yep.
just finds the right level and company. And then number 9, Timeless Glory, is going to stretch back out in distance. I think she's got some better races in her as well, can sit a little bit closer to the pace.
She's had sneaky good races
Yeah,
here
she
at Hawthorne too.
definitely-
11 of 14 over the track, and oftentimes just overlooked, but she just kind of steps up and runs those good races and keeps getting dismissed at prices. So I agree with you. It's a competitive race there for the 8th. In the finale, off the grass, 5.5, scratch the 2, the 3, the 6, 7, and the 10 in here. Leaves you with 5 in the finale. Again, you get some Tanner Tracy horses staying in here. Everything probably starts with Doc 7 in this spot. The horse is going to be a very short price favorite, I think, off that starter race on the main track. But there's some others that maybe move up on the dirt. A horse like I Think I Know You is one of those that I think is a horse that could be a factor as well.
You think so?
I think I know.
I love that. Yeah, had a subtle trip last out and still was able to get the win. I'm going to go back to my old friend, number 5, Bally Baby. Come
Yeah.
on. Come on, girl. Get this win. Small field, should be able to get the right trip. Has had so many good races knocking on the door. We'll see. Need a little racing luck, but overdue.
Yeah, and you know the second you jump off the horse is going to win. So
Exactly.
you might
And
as
so
well
this-
stick it out this
yeah.
late in the meet. Stick
Not
it
many
out till
ways,
the
not
end.
many options in that field, so.
And
go
you're
with
going to
it.
get today and maybe one more start after that for
Yes.
Bally Baby. So hopefully in one of those last couple starts, that one is a winner for you. But that's how we see the 9 races today here on this Thursday afternoon. Again, sunny skies, fast main track. All the races will be contested on the main track today. We'll be back on the grass on Sunday, at least for the stake, hopefully for the entire card. But let's flip back to the opener. Take a look at the field for the first. As in race 1, we go 1 mile and 70 yards. We offer a win play show with that 12% takeout. Exact the try super, double pick 3, pick 5 in the start of the place pick 8, 5 claimers in the first field of 7. 4 to 5 on the 6 of Vansky. So I'm going to let you start with this one because I had the horse nowhere in here.
Yeah, Vance is going to make their second start back off the layoff and that quick turnaround, wheeling right back in a week from the September 19th race. So the races going back in California were competitive, and a competitive type both on the dirt, on the turf, on the synthetic. And as far as the race on September 19th, probably wanted to see a little bit more, but might have needed the race. And really on the inside, didn't seem to be handling the track, was kind of climbing over the track early. Then the rider just wrapped up, had the horse in hand from off the pace. So those factors, and then coming back on short rest. Now, if they had waited like 4 weeks, 5
Yeah.
weeks, something after that effort, I would be very concerned. But the fact that they come right back, drop in class, we see our friend Steve down there, I believe.
Yep, he's hanging out there.
Made the trip, which he doesn't live right around the corner, but came out for Vansky, has races that fit, has some early speed, and should be a favorable spot.
Yeah, we're going to have to talk to Steve about wearing his shades indoors, but otherwise we'll see how things unfold here. Is this one
He's just too
currently
cool.
sitting at 4 to 5 on the board? All right, the 5 horses, Slava Ukraini. You get a look at Slava Ukraini right there. Frank Reyes aboard this runner today for trainer Rigo Rosas. Couple of wins here at Hawthorne. All 8 times this horse has found the board has been over this track. He has to go. The only way he wins is when he's on the front end, and you look at his field and there's not a ton of pace. Mr. Charming can show a little bit of speed in here. Otherwise, I don't see a ton of early speed. I think you have to kind of even inherit the lead in this spot, but I think they should at least be assertive to make sure they make the top. What do you think?
And similar intent too, wheeling back in a week from that Vansky race on September 19th, and could give a little bit of a pass. Slava Ukraini is fractious in the gate. The gate crew did the right thing. They backed him up. They checked him out, but he still might not have been prepared at the start. And that's the one excuse that perhaps that might not have been the reason that they made the lead that day. I don't know why they did in those other races. I think they tried to rate foolishly in there, and I agree. I think this is a spot they tried to send. Has a nasal strip back on, which this horse hasn't had the nasal strip on since those 2 good races back in July 18th and August 4th. So that is a positive. It's a very subtle equipment change, one you don't see in the form, but I can see it on the horse today.
And he makes a pretty good impression there in the paddock. Sitting right now it's 7 to 2 on the board. Now dismissed at 12 to 1 is the 3. That's Mr. Charming. You get the 10-pound bug Valentin Esquivel in the saddle. You get a look at him right there. He's a good looking racehorse, this 8-year-old gelding. 46 starts here at Hawthorne, 68 on his career, just 3 victories though. But that race 2 back, puts him right there with these. Palhaco won that race, came right on back to win its next start, and this is one that should get a good tracking trip. I think 12 to 1 is a little bit of an overlay in here.
It absolutely is. And you're keying off that August 15th race, and you can even key off the July 6th race. He follows that every other pattern. So the fact that he didn't run as well on September 8th, that higher level, it was on the turf, just following that form cycle, runs every other, runs back to the race 2 back. He's right back in the mix, a competitive race at this level, at this race par. He wasn't that blanket finish for the minors, did have a pocket trip, maybe a little bit one pace, but again, like you said, he's at the right level where he can compete. That race puts him right in the mix and an overlay, 12 to 1.
Yeah, trainer Ida Spagnola's had herself a pretty good meet as well, and it would not surprise me if this one is right there late. On the outside is the 7. That's Plain or Peanut. Rachel Slavinsky aboard this runner today, and Rachel was aboard this one the last time the horse was victorious. That was back on June the 1st in the mud. That was a good effort, though, out of Plain or Peanut. A horse that is going to need some pace to chase, but another one that should come running at him in the lane.
He could even show a little bit of tactical speed. It's really going to be up to what Rachel Slavinsky decides to do. Because like you mentioned, for Slava Ukraini, it's kind of muddy, and it could just come down to the rider's race. He's been up close in the past. A shorter number as far as 9 to 2 when you compare with Mr. Charming, because a lot of them have similar races and figures in this spot. So again, another one, the value concern, 9 to 2, certainly capable.
Yeah, now looking at some of the longer prices in here, maybe the one to touch on is the 2. That's Wildwood's Warrior. Wildwood's Warrior right there, currently 17 to 1 on the board. One thing to make note of, this one puts the front wraps back on. Now you had the front wraps off in that last out, and look what happened. It was a good effort. The horse was a massive price, 66 to 1, and almost stole that race. Now the front wraps back on is one thing that leaves me a little bit of question in here off that last performance. Man, if they can get right back to that race, there's no reason why this horse couldn't be a factor at a price.
And he's 18 to 1, but with 66 to 1 on that day. The front wraps is, I think that is something to be of concern. And also mentioning in that September 15th race, he did have some trouble at the start, made that rush, but then once he got to the lead, they went very, very, very slow. And I think that assisted carrying in that 3rd place finish. Maybe find some other pace pressure in this field. If they're able to clear and separate and get on a soft lead, probably. Also notice he does have that cover on the right eye. I just want to kind of go through and see if I don't have that noted in the past, so there might be some, that might be another change as well.
Yeah, you get that extension cup blinker there on the right eye, something definitely worth making note of. And I mean, normally you're having that because you have a horse that gets out a little bit in the turn, so something to keep an eye on. But you do get a good look at that blinker right there with that extension cup, and it's almost a full cup, but it is one of those where you get just a little bit of vision there, but kind of deters you from seeing who's just to your outside as well. And we'll see what Wildwood's Warrior shows us in this spot. The last one I want to touch on is the 4. That's Stolich. Stolich 35 to 1 in here. Olaf Hernandez aboard this runner today. Stretch back out in distance. You look at those starts, though, 3 and 4 back. Actually not too bad of efforts, and Stolich, a horse that maybe can kind of pick up the pieces a little bit underneath.
He's been a little disappointing to me this season. He's shown some running spots, but just from a number standpoint, hasn't really taken that big step forward. Maybe that's not too much of a knock in here, especially when you're at 35 to 1, the longest shot on the board. Arguably, maybe he shouldn't be the longest shot on the board because at least he's getting in the mix, and I don't mind the stretch back down in distance. I think that's a positive. Yeah,
we'll see how things unfold here as riders are getting a leg up for the opener. Heading out right now, Vansky, your even money favorite. Good luck.
Coming on the track for the opener, they'll go 1 mile and 70 yards on a fast track. Field of 7, there are no jockey changes. Number 3, Mr. Charming, will now carry 2 pounds over the program weight. We have a lot of overweights that have just come in. We'll go over them after the post parade. 1, Son of Grace, Israel Hernandez riding. 2, Wildwood's Warrior. The rider is Alexander Bendezu. 3, Mr. Charming, Valentin Esquivel. Once again, number 3 will carry 2 pounds over the program weight. Number 4, Stolich, Olaf Hernandez riding. 5, Slava Ukraini, Frank Reyes. 6, Viniski, Luis Colon. and 7 Plain or Peanut. Rachel Slavinsky will bring him to the gate, and they'll all be there in about 3 minutes. Racing fans, once again, we're off the turf today. All the races on the dirt track, and that track is fast. Here are the overweights. Once again, the first race, 3 Mr. Charming carries 2 pounds over the program weight. In the fourth race, 3 Holden Michael carries 5 pounds over the program weight. 7 Lila Renee carries 3 pounds over the program weight. The eighth race, 1 Cairo Summer carries 2 pounds over the program weight. Ninth race, number 1 Muse carries 2 pounds over the program weight. You're updated on the overweights, on the balance of the program. Racing fans, we do thank you for joining us wherever it may be across the betting network. I remind you, little time remains for you to wager on today's first race, which features rolling doubles, rolling pick threes, the 50-cent pick 5, and the $1 place pick 8. Our win play show wagers has the lowest takeout in the country, just 12%. Our place pick 8 wager has a low takeout of just 8%. Missed it earlier, we're off the turf today. All the races will be on the real dirt track. That track will be fast all day long today, as we have another gorgeous day for the race here in the Chicagoland area here at Hawthorne. Track is fast. We're off the turf. Close to starting time for race 1 here at Hawthorne. Less than a minute, better hurry. Racing fans are at the starting gate for today's first race here at Hawthorne. Horses are entering the starting gate. Last two to go in, Stolich and Plain or Peanut. Waiting for Plain or Peanut. He's in there all in the gate. They're off. From the outside, Slava Ukraini showing speed between horses Stolich. Then on the outside, Viniski moves up along the rail. Wildwood's Warrior in tight quarters, and then to the outside, Plain or Peanut. Moving through along the inside, Mr. Charming, and the trailer is Son of Grace. Around the turn and on to the backstretch. On the inside, it's Slava Ukraini with his head in front. Viniski up to challenge second. Then towards the inside in third, Wildwood's Warrior. Plain or Peanut out there, 3 lengths behind the leader. Behind that quartet comes Mr. Charming. 4 more back to Stolich, and trailing the field, Son of Grace. Half mile to go, the opening quarter, 24.15, half 47.53. They move into the far turn, and it's still Slava Ukraini on the lead. And around the turn they go, Slava Ukraini by 2. Here's Plain or Peanut up on the outside second. Wildwood's Warrior is third. Then losing a bit of ground was Viniski. Inside, Mr. Charming. Stolich moves to the outside. Son of Grace trails as they come off the turn and straighten away. Slava Ukraini still has the lead. Here's Plain or Peanut picking up the leader on the outside second. Wildwood's Warrior third. A little more than a furlong to go. Slava Ukraini, Plain or Peanut, these two on even terms. 3 lengths back to Wildwood's Warrior. And then on the inside, Mr. Charming's trying to come back. They're coming down to the finish. Plain or Peanut, Slava Ukraini's game, but will have to settle for second behind Plain or Peanut today. It was Plain or Peanut over Slava Ukraini. Wildwood's Warrior far back. Stolich got up for 4th over Mr. Charming. In today's first race, 7 Plain or Peanut finished first, 5 Slava Ukraini was second, 2 Wildwood's Warrior third, and 4 Stolich fourth. 7524 is posted. It's unofficial, 143.83 the running time. Returning the unofficial winner, 7 Plain or Peanut. Plain or Peanut is owned by Omar Razvi and Dennis Hornbostel. Dino DeZio trains. Rachel Slavinsky, the winning rider. Still unofficial. Today's first race is official. The exact is 7-5, $6.80. Trifecta 7-5-2, $11.75. Superfecta 7-5-2-4, $23.34. Today's second race has no changes. Win, play, show, exacta, trifecta, superfecta. It starts another daily double, another pick 3, and today's 50-cent early pick 4. No changes in race 2. Third race off the turf, mile 70 yards on the dirt. Scratch 2, Faith, Hope, and Love. Scratch 3, Golden Age Actress. Scratch 5, Margarita Bluebird. Fourth race, 3, Holden Michael carries 5 pounds over. 7, Lila Renee carries 3 pounds over the program weight. Fifth race starts a late pick 5 off the turf, 5.5 furlongs on the dirt. Scratch 2, Chrome Attack. Scratch 3, Ha Ha Gloria. 5, She's Wonderful. Make the jockey David Cohen. The weight's okay. David Cohen rides 5, She's Wonderful. Scratch 8, Rambert. Post time in 19 minutes at 2:38. 19 minutes to wager on the early pick 4. We're off the turf. All the races will be contested on a fast dirt track. Thank you.